1. And there it is. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first episode, number 1 of the Practicing Polyamory Podcast. Really excited to be here with everybody. You know what? Let's just kick the show on the road and show you what we got. Practicing Polyamory, real-life perspectives from the imperfect people of polyamory. The mission of the Practicing Polyamory Podcast is to provide a platform for all of the real-life, flawed humans that practice polyamory so that we all might learn from one another and grow as a community. Enjoy the show. All right, honest feedback. What's your thoughts on the intro?
It's kind of low, kind of chill.
It's kind of chill, right? Like for my actual energy coming in here, like as soon as I hit it, I was like, oh wow, that's really quite chill, because I'm an energetic person. Like,
dude,
and this is the energy that I'm going to bring to this podcast. Like, this is what it's going to be. So like, yeah, I'm feeling that intro is a little bit, maybe a little chill.
And it's just a soundtrack, dude. I think it's just a soundtrack. So maybe we change the soundtrack and the intro stays the same and you'll be all right. Just a little bit more upbeat.
Yeah. A little bit more upbeat. All right. So there's the initial thing. You know, ladies and gentlemen, we're just throwing this thing out here. We're getting started. This is day 1, episode 1, and you know, we're gonna figure things out as we go, just like we always do. This is what practicing is all about, right? For a little bit of background info, my name is Sias. This is my older brother, Hernan. He and I together have been doing podcasts for almost 3 years.
Yeah, time's flying by.
Coming up on 3 years. So back there over his left shoulder, you can see the Business Bros logo. Your right shoulder, my bad, it's mirrored. The Business Bros logo, that's our podcast that we've been doing. We're at episode 660 now?
Yeah,
50 something, way up there. I have another podcast that I do called the Insurance Pro Show, where I talk about insurance because I'm an insurance guy. And then I wanted to start this one because this is where my heart is. This is where my community is. This is where, so many more people, so many more exciting stories, so many great things to learn and tell and talk about right here in our polyam community. So, episode number 1, I'm going to be interviewed by the man who is always interviewing people, this guy right here. So, broski, take it away.
Handle it. So first of all, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very live show. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll be able to see them, bring them on, and ask away. So I may not have all the questions.
We're going to hold off on actually bringing them up. I mean, if anybody's in the groups or anything like that, you're not publicly out. We don't want to out you by posting your comment on our feed, right? So we'll definitely read them and answer those questions, but we're going to hold off, at least for now, on posting these comments live on the air on screen.
Or if you want, just put a little bracket and put out, and then you'll let us know if you're okay.
Something like that, yeah.
Awesome. Viviana is here to support. So,
Viviana, you're awesome.
Nice.
Thank you so much. The attorney in heels, we love you.
All right, let's jump into the basics, okay? So for those of you who are out there supporting, not really knowing what's going on, tell me, what is polyamory?
Okay, polyamory basically is a way of handling relationships that is non-monogamous. Mostly when we talk about relationships, when we see movies, right, we always have the love triangle because there's always the girl that likes 2 guys or the guy that likes 2 girls or whatever, all these things. You got to pick one, right? Polyamory basically says, I don't have to pick one. I can have them both. Right, as long as all 3 individuals are okay with it, and I say 3, and I'm talking about love triangles because that's what we see so often in media. But in polyamory, we have so many different relationship structures and relationship types that it's not always just 3 people involved. Sometimes it's 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever. It's like a bunch of people. All of these people as a group, we call them our polycule, right? Like molecule, but polycule. Anyway. Yeah, it makes sense. But yeah, basically the idea is we don't shut ourselves off from loving multiple people or having multiple romantic connections with people. So I think that's about the basics of it.
That's the basics of it, right? So remember, I'm coming from a layman's perspective, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to ask all the questions I possibly can. What's the difference between that and being single?
What's the difference between that and being single? It's that when you're single, you usually don't tell people that you're dating other people. You don't necessarily have relationships where those different people are in your life like at the same time. Like you might be dating one person and like you go on a date and you do your thing, and then you go out with this other person and you don't talk about that other person at all. Right. So when you're single, you're just kind of dating in different places. But in polyamory, a lot of people practice what we call kitchen table poly, which is kitchen table polyam, whatever, which is all of our partners can sit around at a kitchen table and like play games and talk and hang out. And like we all know that we're romantic with the other. And, you know, I think in single life dating, you don't really get that as much.
Dude, to me, that's almost like Tinder on steroids. Like you get the opportunity and everybody's okay with it. Like,
yeah,
that's okay. So first of all, that's got to have a little bit of that awkward feeling, right? So when you first stepped into this space, when you like walk me through getting to that point, like you had to have gone through emotional swings and, you know, jealousy fits and all kinds of stuff. How did this become the solution?
I mean, call it a solution. It definitely took a lot of work. You know, getting started in polyamory definitely was a learning curve. And there was a lot of jealousy. I remember, you know, my partner went on a date and ended up in a hotel room with somebody. And like, I busted into the hotel room and ruined their date. Like, not my proudest moment for sure. You're looking for a video clip, huh?
Yeah, I was like, I should have had those.
Yeah, basically that. Like it was oh, this one's even,
it's worse. It's so much worse.
because I mean it took a lot, you know. I mean, in that specific situation, like that almost ended our relationship, right? One thing that I think I'll tell people, anybody who like is even thinking about opening a relationship or the idea of polyamory, is it takes every possible flaw in your relationship and amplifies it. Like everything that you think is kind of a little bit wrong is going to be like spotlighted. You're going to see it a lot more. And it takes a lot of work, both as a partner, as a partnership, and individually, to be able to get past that, to be able to get over that, to be able to, you know, realize that we're all human. We all make mistakes. We all have our shortcomings, you know, and everything. And to love the person past that, past those shortcomings, past those mistakes, that's where, you know, the true power lies, I think.
Well, okay, so getting over some of these jealousy things and talking about, you know, that whole idea of, you know, almost destroying a relationship, or, you know, how do you so if you know what's going to destroy it, if you know all those flaws, if you're shining the light on those things, how would you define a successful polyam relationship?
A successful polyamorous relationship, you know, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal, right?
Right. All right, fair.
All right, we always say that. That's one of our lines from our very many business ventures. The worthy ideal in this case is just happiness, I think, and finding happiness in each other. So, you know, one of the things that is interesting and unique about polyamorous relationships is that we take away the expectation of finding or having all of our needs met by one person. We have this expectation. I remember having this expectation in my monogamous relationships where, you know, I was in love with the girl and I wanted her to be like my everything, and I wanted to be her everything, and like there would be nobody else. And that's a lot of expectation to put on someone, right? Like that's a lot of pressure to put on someone. And so what we get with polyamory is, you know, this partner is really good for watching movies that make you think, right? And this partner really likes his Marvel movies. And so, you know, when you're going to watch a movie with this partner, you're going to sit down and watch shit blows up and good guys win.
Okay, I'm gonna bring in Rob because look, here's the truth of the matter is, right, when you talk to guys about polyam versus when you talk to girls, and it's whether or not they're in poly or not, guys are gonna have this to say all the time, right? This is Rob. I'm dude. I'm with you. I totally look at it like, dude, the best of two worlds. You're my hero, right? All of a sudden, it's like, damn, what was I thinking? How am I doing something wrong? So, when you hear this on the other hand, you see stuff like this, because this is exactly the idea that I was thinking when I was like, dude, you got it made. Like, that's perfect, right? There's got to be another side to it, because the other side is always, no relationship is perfect, right? There's always arguments and disagreements and jealousy, not always of another person, but sometimes of the time and the admiration, right? Of something that you do. Maybe you're into, your business, for example, and you're dedicating a lot of time into your business, and your significant other, or your, I don't know, whoever, I don't even know how you define them, right? But
significant other's fine. Yeah.
Significant other, quote, or parentheses,
partners,
yeah. Like, they might be jealous of that time that you're spending, not necessarily with the other person. So what do you say to guys like that are like, dude, pimping? Like, what do you say?
I say, what if one of those two girls has another boyfriend? How do you feel about that?
That's the tough part, right? Because I think, this can be done. Most guys are just too chicken to accept the reality. I think most guys are territorial, right? And I think that's the issue. Yeah, most people are territorial, right? And once it's almost like I peed on it, it's mine, right? Like, you got that kind of feeling.
And or in this case, I put my pee in it, and so now it's mine.
There you go.
Right? And so we actually have a term for that. We call it the one penis policy. Right. And this happens a lot. We actually see this a lot, where a couple has been together for a long time and they realize that they're not monogamous. Right. Maybe they come from swinging, or they had just like this random threesome with some girl that they met at a bar, and they're like, wow, this blew my mind. Like, this should be a thing. And so, this couple comes together and gets on Tinder, and you see that it's a picture of the couple. Right. And they're like, we're looking for a bi girl who wants to date both of us and wants to, be with the both of us. Right. We see this all the time. So there's two terms. One is the one penis policy. Two is unicorn hunting. Right. And so these two things are
okay, hold up. First, start with defining these things. One penis policy. Are you talking
one penis policy is basically, I get two girls, but they're not allowed to sleep with anybody but me. They're not allowed to have any other guys in their life except for me. They can go sleep with other girls if they want to, but they can't have any other guys except for me.
Fine by me.
I mean, that works, right? Every guy,
that's a lot of guys' fantasy, right?
Yes.
But it's a fantasy. It's a fantasy, and it's really it's unethical to demand that of another person, to say, sorry, I'm the only penis that you can have. Why? Why is that a thing? And that goes to, frankly, it's male insecurity. You said it yourself. Men are territorial, right? Once I pee on it, it's mine. And that's basically like how they're thinking. And so one of the rules that we have to break away from, one of the mind shifts that we have to have and break away from, is to stop thinking like this person is my property. She's not.
True. That does happen when you start talking about monogamous relationships, right? You put a ring on it. You start a family. One penis policy. Cool. What was the other thing that you're going to bring up? What was the other?
The other thing was the unicorn hunting, which is really where the unicorn.
I mean, it does, right?
It sounds awesome for sure. I mean, I've seen Harry Potter and all these other fantasy movies, and the unicorn is the mythical creature that just like changes people's lives, right? But it's a fantasy. Again, it's the bi girl who wants to date both the guy and the girl in the couple and is into both of them equally.
That is a unicorn, dude. That's
a unicorn. Exactly. But when a lot of couples open up their relationships for the very first time, that's what they're looking for. And
I think he's wonderful.
Yeah.
I fell into it. I did the same thing with when we first opened up, right? Like, that's what we're looking for. Yep, that's what we want. And we realized really quickly, like within a few weeks, that's what everybody wants. And it's a fantasy. And so to, allow each partner to just date separately, and hey, maybe, I will meet an awesome girl who is bi, who winds up liking my partner as much as she likes me. Like, if that happens organically, great. But to make that a requirement of the relationship to get started, that's where it becomes unethical.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about all these awkward things, because that's honestly what people want to know, right? Okay, so you decide with your spouse that you guys are going to be polyam. Cool, right? In theory. Then she starts dating, and he's back a guy that you just like, you don't like personality wise. Maybe he rubbed you the wrong way. His feet stink. Whatever the situation is, how do you even address that? Or vice versa. You start dating somebody who's maybe physically more attractive, or maybe make more money, or whatever, that can kind of maybe pull you away. How does that get addressed?
Well, the first thing is that it gets addressed, period. Right? Because one of the things that happens in a lot of relationships, whether polyamorous or monogamous, a lot of things that happen in relationships is we don't talk about the things that are bugging us. So, we don't talk about these things. We don't talk about, issues that are bothering us. We like hold those things down. We just suppress these different things. We don't want to talk about it. But one of the things that we have learned, one of the things that I've definitely learned through my polyam journey is communication. Like, all of these things need to be talked about, and we need to be open to those ideas. So one of the things you brought up is, or like Dr. Rob said, if he's French, I'll throw him out personally, right? There's just something about this person that rubs you the wrong way, just something that you don't like about them. Well, that's a conversation that you need to have with your partner, right? And it might be the type of thing where, hey, let's coordinate where, I won't be home when you bring this person around, right? Or you go to his place, whatever. We'll figure things out. Like, if I need to go with my buddies for a drinking night, talk to me. Like, we'll figure it out. It's about that communication, like Cassandra said. It's about being able to talk to that person and say, hey, look, like, this is how we can make this work, and compromising and figuring things out. It's that. So here's one of the other differences. Back to your question about what's the difference between being polyam and being single, is a lot of people think that polyamory is like a fear of commitment, but it's actually just a lot of commitments, right? So I'm committed to working things out with my partner. So I'm going to find different ways to allow her to do the things that she wants to do while I continue to do the things that I want to do. And it's a lot of that commitment and staying true to, staying committed to the relationship through its ups and downs.
Well, it's certainly more enjoyable than my average day.
Right? Thanks, John.
Not to say that every polyamorous relationship works out, right? Not to say that everyone is a forever thing, because again, relationships are structured in so many different ways. As we get through all of these different people that we're going to talk to and interview, we're going to learn about so many different relationship structures. It's mind-blowing to me. I've just read about some of them. Like, we're going to talk to people that have a bunch of different types. It's going to be
By the way, ladies and gents, this is a super interesting topic. Rob nailed it when he said super interesting topic. So when Jay said he was going to launch this show, we set out to talk to people about it. This show is booked out through March. So Polyam show is booked out through March. So if you guys want to tune in, hit that subscribe button, go to YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Click on the link, whatever. But, there's going to be some great, interesting stories and a bunch of different perspectives. I'm giving you a perspective I am not on the Polyam side, right? I probably get slapped if I bring it up to the wife. So it's a whole different ballgame. But we are related, and you come from a family that has very much a traditional religious background.
Oh, yeah.
So, share with people what it was like coming out and having that conversation.
Oh, man. It took a while. We had been practicing polyamory for a couple of years, about 2 years. So we're a year and some change about it. I guess it would have been about 2.5 years. Anyway, it was October of 2019 when I finally told mom and dad, and it had been a lot of conversation between Vanessa and me. We'd been talking about it. We've been doing this thing for a couple of years already, and we'd been going back and forth. And
I don't think it means what you think it means.
for me, when I told mom and dad, we were driving down to pick up our niece and nephew. We were on our way down, down south. It was just like a 20-30 minute ride, and I was like, "Hey, mom, dad, I got to tell you guys something." And they're like, "Okay."
Nothing ever starts off with good.
Yeah, right. Nothing good ever starts with "I got to tell you something." I was like, "So, I just want to tell you about, the way that Vanessa and I are handling our marriage. We are polyamorous. I don't know if you've ever heard that term before." Kind of give me that look like, what? It's kind of like an open relationship, basically. So like she has a boyfriend and I have a girlfriend and whatever, Rob, dude, I get that. I would never feel the need to let anyone know if I was in that arrangement. So why would I feel the need? Is because last week I finally posted a picture of my girlfriend. Like, even though this is October of 2019, it took me until just last week to actually post a picture of my other partner. There's still that nervousness. There was still that trepidation. There was still that like, holy crap, this is a big step, right? Click that button. Oh, that's it. It's done. There's no taking it back, right?
Well, let me put it in perspective, dude. Okay, so here's the thing. Every generation is growing up with different cultural biases, right? So, and we say this all the time. Grandma, for example. Grandma was born in the early 1900s, right? For those of you,
1929, I think it was.
1929, right? Okay, so growing up in a different time. When she sees an African-American person, she has a different point of view because of how she grew up. She doesn't mean anything bad by it. She does, it's just a different cultural bias. So same thing with us and my parents, right? We've all grown up in this monogamous relationship. This is the way society says you're supposed to do something. So naturally, when you were expressing it to mom and dad, they got weird about it. It got awkward, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was a conversation. I'm not gonna get too much into the details of what they said, but it was basically like, I think that dad, especially dad, was the one talking. Mom stayed quiet. Mom didn't say much at all. She just kind of sat there and stayed quiet. Dad seemed to think that it's a phase. That it's something that I'm eventually going to grow out of. He's like, one of these days you're going to get older and, you're going to want somebody that's more consistent or something. I don't know. He seemed to think that it's a phase or something that I'm going to grow out of. And whatever, either way, the one thing that I can say, the one thing that I can say and that I'm happy about, but this is not the case for everybody, is when we got to where we were going, mom got out of the car, she gave me a big hug and she said, "I love you," and whatever.
See,
right?
And here's to me, dude, that means a lot because
it means a lot.
That's
means
not
the world.
She did not say, "I accept what you're doing." She did not say, "I agree with what you're doing." Right? She did not even say that she's okay with meeting your girlfriend. None of that she said.
Nope.
She just accepted you for you.
Yeah, that's it. That is it. I mean, it was, and like I said, I'm lucky in that sense because it doesn't happen for everybody that way. No. It's a lot of people don't have even that much acceptance. A lot of people get shunned. A lot of people get, disowned. So many different things. And we're going to hear those stories too. It's not always sunshine and rainbows, right? There's a rainbow over here. It's not always like that. And so we're going to hear some real stories, some real hard stories sometimes. And this is where, this is part of the reason why I wanted to do this, is because the more that we talk about it, the more that we bring it into light, it's just like, any other, what should I say? I don't want to use the word oppressed, but it's another minority, I guess, just a group of people that were doing things differently from the established norm, the societally established norm. And yeah, it's cool to see it. It's cool to be able to bring light to it.
Well, here's
So
the
that
thing,
hopefully
right?
it's more accepted.
It doesn't matter what the group is: entrepreneurs, car enthusiasts,
Taboo.
football
Thank you, Greg.
fans, whatever it is, everyone needs their tribe. Everyone needs to feel that they're in a place with other people who are going through similar things, right? That are gonna come through this, that have support for each other, that have experience for each other. And that's what you're doing with this show. Like, this is the cool part for me, is that there's a lot of people out there that don't have, like you said, don't have those kind of parents that just kind of accept that this is who you are. By the way, they've been accepting a lot of shit from you for
many years, for 37 years now.
Just want to throw that one out there, right? But I mean, even to this day, like, and I'll be honest, when I meet when I meet the boyfriend, or if and when I meet the girlfriend, it still feels a little awkward. Like, it's still a little weird. I know that they're just people. I get that, right? And I'm totally okay, and I'm gonna be 100% fine. But I can guarantee you that first introduction, when I realize who this person is a little weird. But understand, like, and here's something that I had to think about it to myself. It's weird because it's different to me, right? But it's not, it's your normal, it's your life, and you're still a same human being. You're still the same person who cares about his business. You're still the same person who cares about his spouse and his significant other. You're still the same type of person. So it doesn't change a lot of that, but it does make you feel better now that you've come out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's liberating. It's a weight that's not on my shoulders anymore. I talked about this a little bit with Anita Astley on her show, that it's just the ability to have these conversations, to be talking to my cousins, my friends, whoever, and be like, yeah, so I was doing this with this partner, and then I was doing that with that partner, and have all of these stories and just be able to share them openly and honestly. Rob, difference between poly and swingers, really easy. Swinging is all about sex. Polyamory is all about relationships. So in polyam, we get relationships. We have multiple partners with long-term or whatever. And then swinging, it's really all about the sex. Alex, my man. I love Alex.
Can't even find one. You got two. That was funny, man. And it's cool because I was watching some of the comments as people were as you first posted that you were going to get started in some of this stuff, and it's just funny because I know how guys think. Like, I'm a dude. I'm like, this dude. Like, seriously, you're calling it a thing, and it's just like I said, man. At the very beginning, like we don't understand because we're not in that life. All we see is the upside. We don't really deal with the downside. So any advice for anybody who's going to come out? Like, what do you think was the easiest or most difficult part of actually, saying it, and who should they say it to? Like, who do you think they should avoid, or who should they talk to come out of this and share who they are and what they're going through?
I mean, everybody's situation is going to be different, so I can't possibly give advice. All I can say is what was important to me was that I tell my mom and dad in person. I did not want mom and dad to find out about me being polyamorous on a website, from a post, from this podcast, whatever. Like, I did not want them to find out about it any other way than me sitting down with them face to face. So if there's anybody in your life, that is that important to you, that kind of has that role, face to face for me was the way to go. There was no way that I was going to do it over text, over FaceTime, nothing. Face to face for me. Besides that, there are very few people that are important in my life that I felt I had to go out of my way to tell. Like I told you and Rosa pretty early on. I told, some of my cousins. Vanessa told like her siblings, whatever. Like the people that are close to us, like we tell them, hey, this is what's going on in our lives. But beyond that like tight circle, everybody else could just find out by me posting, these pictures or posting interviews or whatever else.
And now they're gonna be like, damn, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's why he rides a Harley.
For now.
You know what?
Don't ever let somebody tell you you can't do something.
Right? Don't ever let somebody tell you can't do something. All right. Tell people when this show is going to air on a regular basis.
It will be airing. Our first interview is tomorrow at 2:30, and we're going to be, just about daily. My karaoke tribe is all here to support. Gotta love them. Cassandra, she's great. Anyway, pretty much daily, 2:30 p.m. Pacific time, Pacific Standard, Pacific Daylight, whatever, Pacific time. And it's going to be everywhere. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitter, on Twitch. I think that's about it. But yeah.
Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
And yeah, we're going to be just interviewing all of these different polyam people and learning it and going from there.
All right. Well, in that case, dude, good episode 1.
Good episode 1. Definitely, if you are on YouTube, if you can find us on YouTube, look for the Practicing Polyamory Podcast. I need to get 100 subscribers before I can create my custom URL. So I need 100 subscribers so that I can just say, go to youtube.com/practicingpoly. Otherwise, everything else is at Practicing Polya, as you can see right here. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever else I might have missed, at Practicing Polya, all over the place. If you want to support us, me, keeping this thing going, patreon.com/practicingpolya. We're going to have our website, practicingpolyamory.com. We're going to have all kinds of affiliate links for all kinds of different things that are going to be relatable to the community. So
cool. All right. Then we'll see you guys again mañana. You won't see me, actually. I'm more the behind the scenes guy, but I got to do this first thing, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, dude, I'm excited.
Appreciate you, man. You've been with me through this whole thing.
And you didn't want to do podcasting.
And I didn't want to do podcasting, right? but it's your influence, man, that got me here, that got this whole thing really started. So you demand.
All right. Peace, ladies and gents. And we're out.
Thank you for tuning in to the Practicing Polyamory Podcast. Would you or someone in your polycule like to be a guest? Sign up at practicingpolyamory.com and join the conversation. Please support us by subscribing, liking, and following us on all our social media at Practicing Polya, by clicking any of the affiliate links on our website, or by subscribing at patreon.com/